pleased to join you all. My name is Rhiley and I am a child of the 90s. I was born in the beginning of the era of girl power, with pop stars, professionals, and politicians proclaiming that we needed to celebrate the independence and ambition of girls rather than suppress it. Thanks to the efforts of my parents, my childhood was spent doing just that, celebrating the boundlessness and possibility of everything that I could be. I didn't just play pretend teacher and mother. I was a doctor, a marine biologist, a librarian, a writer, an artist, and, of course, a scientist. I curated small museum exhibits on the bottom of my bookshelf about everything from praying mantises to Pluto. At the age of 4, I held my first snake at the Minnesota Zoo. I can still remember the feel of its smooth scales sliding across my palms, muscles contracting, and the look of joy and sheer terror on my mom's face. It will come as no surprise to you then that these days, I am a zookeeper. If it doesn't surprise you, it certainly surprised me. When I was in high school, I was convinced I was going to be a graphic designer, but APR changed my mind about that. By the time I was in college, I was going to become a forensic scientist. Then came mammalogy, a class completely unrelated to forensics that I took because it sounded really cool. As a result of this one random, completely illogical decision, my entire path changed. I felt at home in the prairie, the woods, the storage rooms filled with skulls and skins and pressed plants. I had found a purpose. I had found a passion. In The Fault in Our Stars, John Green describes falling in love being like falling asleep, slowly, then all at once. This was how I became a scientist. I went from mammalogy to mist-netting bats across Iowa, snorkeling on tropical reefs, and pursuing knowledge like it was oxygen running from all too small a room. I even took classes in education because I had to, needed to, tell people how amazing the world was when you saw it like this. Through science, the ordinary is elevated to the extraordinary. It's as though you found the Rosetta Stone to life itself. The birds and the trees and clouds outside your window take on new, wonderful meaning. But Rhiley, you say, science is awesome, but how did you get to be a zookeeper? Valid question with a simple answer. I was a very, very lucky woman in the right place at the right time. After graduation, I applied to a small mammals opening at the Blank Park Zoo for a keeper. Just on the whim, I got very lucky and I got the job. However, getting the job and knowing what you're getting into are two very different things, and I did not know what I was getting into. Turns out, a lot of people think that zookeeping is one of two things, either a full-time cuddle fest or glorified poop scooping. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. Yes, a typical day of zookeeping does include a fair amount of cleaning. After you say hello to everyone and feed them their morning diet, it's time for a nice healthy dose of raking, sweeping, hosing, and scrubbing. This is followed by crying when you let the animals back in the barn and they proceed to poop all over your clean floor. But then there is the rest of the day. As a zookeeper, I'm not just an animal janitor. I am a chef making diets. I am a trainer. I am a repairman. I am an artist, an observer, a teacher, a doctor, a scientist. I am the visa of the animal world, everywhere they need me to be. To keep is to maintain in a specified state. In this case, it's contentment. This is not to say that my job is always easy. Each day that I go to work, there's the potential that I'm going to have the best day of my life or the worst. I lifted a joey from a Wallaby's pouch, petted a red panda, touched a tiger, stood in a bat cave and felt the bat's wings flap against me as they passed. On the other hand, I have battled animals as they have passed away. A zoo is like a tide pool, constantly changing due to comings and goings. As a zookeeper, you stand in the midst of this tide, sometimes bowled over, but always thankful to be a part of things both great and small. So far, this has been the story of how I became a zookeeper, but not why. Ultimately, it comes down to two things, mammalogy and girl power. Thanks to mammalogy, I became connected with the natural world and learned to speak its language. I developed a philosophy of conservation. According to recent estimates, scientists assume that we are losing somewhere between 200 and 2,000 species each year. In other words, at most conservative estimates, there is one species in the world going extinct each day, which is a very depressing fact. Most of these species, people do not have a chance to get to know before they go extinct and are lost to us forever. This means that the animals I care for are ambassadors, not just for the zoo, but also for their species as a whole. And as their keeper, I can act as their voice. Mohu, the red panda that I trained, is one of less than 10,000 red pandas remaining. She, along with the rest of her species, is vulnerable. Fortunately, there is girl power. I was raised in a world of possibility, taught that I could do anything that I put my mind to. This drive, this dedication, this ambition has brought me to where I'm standing before you today, a keeper, a teacher, a scientist, a Renaissance woman. There has been a cry in recent years for more women in STEM-oriented careers, as the large majority are male-dominated. Zookeeping, however, is an exception to this rule. 50 years ago, keeping was considered a man's job, as it was thought that women could not handle the hard labor and heavy lifting of it. Today, women make up 51% of all zookeepers, thank you very much, and our numbers continue to grow. We are working hard, hauling hay, hosing stalls, training new behaviors, working together, educating the public, and continuing to strive for greater standards of care. Girl power indeed. My name is Rhiley Binns. I am lucky to be a zookeeper. I live in a wild world filled with red panda yawns, tamarin stretches, wallaby jumps, and goat headbutts. I am driven, dedicated, and ambitious, but also curious, caring, and creative. I am a girl in science, and hopefully so are you. And there is nothing that we can't do. Thank you.